I still remember the first time I showed the demo to Martin. It was a cold Tuesday morning in late November, fog seeping through the conference room windows, the city a gray husk beneath us. I'd spent 3 months coding almost nonstop, fueled by pizza boxes, bad coffee, and the belief that what I built could change everything. At 9:03 a.m., I clicked run, and our aging customer service platform spat out a solution no one thought possible. Within 10 seconds, it had triaged a backlog of 6,000 support tickets, prioritized them by urgency and lifetime value, and even drafted context-aware responses for our reps. A miracle, in other words. Martin leaned back in his chair, arms folded, eyes fixed on the scrolling lines. He was our VP of operations, fiercely proud of his team's efficiency, except that efficiency was tanking thanks to a wave of new enterprise clients and a weekend hackathon that turned into a disaster of misrouted tickets. I thought he'd grin. Instead, his lips thinned. "Ben," he said finally, voice flat, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but our support team values a personal touch. They're going to hate canned, algorithmic replies. This thing feels soulless. Besides, it's probably riddled with bugs. Let's table it until Q2. He tapped his pen against his notepad. "Until then, let's stick with our plan. Hire 10 more agents." My chest tightened. I blinked at the console. No errors, live stats showing a 75% reduction in ticket resolution time, a 30% uptick in customer satisfaction scores. I'd even A/B tested it with a small pilot group. But Martin wasn't interested. "Thanks, Ben. We'll reconsider later." He gestured to the exit. "Let's move on to global expansion." I swallowed and packed my laptop. Outside the room, my team huddled, Maya from engineering, Ray from data science, and Ellie from UX. I heard Maya whispered, "Are you okay?" I clenched my jaw. He said soulless, "He thinks my code's worthless." Ray's eyebrows shot up. Worthless? Did he look at the metrics? I shook my head. "Doesn't matter." Ellie frowned. "So what now?" I gave them my best half smile. "Now, we ship on Q2, with or without him. And when it works, they'll have no choice." That evening, I staggered home, mind already buzzing with improvements. A more nuanced empathy model, tone matching algorithms, a dynamic knowledge base that learned from every resolved ticket. My fiancée, Nora, greeted me at the door with takeout containers and a tired smile. "Rough day?" she asked, sliding a container of pad thai onto the coffee table. I collapsed onto the sofa. "Martin said my software's worthless." She handed me chopsticks. "Maybe he's just afraid of change." I chewed thoughtfully. "Maybe. But if he really thinks it's worthless, I'm going to prove him wrong." She smiled gently. "Just don't burn yourself out. You're doing great." I reached for her hand, squeezing it. "Thanks." Over the next weeks, I refined the prototype in secret. I set up a private Slack channel. #automate, the three of us plus 2 trusted engineers. Late nights, we patched, stress-tested, and polished. By January, we had version 2.0, integration with the CRM, sentiment analysis that flagged anger before it exploded, a dashboard that projected resolution times hours in advance. We were confident enough to try it on a live account, a small e-commerce client, notorious for product return headaches. I pitched a pilot to Maya, Ray, and Ellie in our dimly lit bullpen. "1 week," I said. "We run tickets through Automate 2.0 for all returns inquiries. We compare metrics, day by day." Ellie grinned. "If this works, we'll be heroes." Ray nodded eagerly. "I'll set up A/B test groups." Maya cracked her knuckles. "Let's do it." The next Monday, I logged into the pilot account. Lines of raw data streamed across the screen, 1,200 tickets in the queue, average wait time 24 hours. I flipped a toggle, Automate 2.0 now routing the first 30% of returns issues. Instantly, ticket volume dropped, response quality soared, and the client's real-time dashboard flipped from red to green. Satisfaction scores jumped from 64 to 89 in a few hours. I nearly shouted. Maya high-fived me. Ray pumped his fist. Ellie squealed. We watched in awe as Automate 2.0 wrote and sent empathetic apologies, offered prepaid shipping labels, and even suggested product exchanges based on past purchase history. Within 48 hours, the client's retention forecast improved by 12%. Their CSM, Brett, pinged me. "This is amazing. How soon can we roll out to all inbound? I exhaled, exhilarated. This was the proof Martin needed. If only he'd listen. But when I pitched it in the executive meeting, Martin cut me off again. Ben, I saw the pilot. He started. Voice clipped. Impressive for a software toy. But we're scaling to millions of users, not retail leftovers. Your system can't handle enterprise grade complexity. It's an experiment, nothing more. I felt the anger rise, hot and sharp. Martin, you saw the metrics. It's handling complexity. He raised a hand. Place it on the roadmap. But we can't bet our TI of $50 million forecast on an unproven AI. We hire more human agents. I opened my mouth, then closed it, swallowing my retort. He'd make the same error. They'd pour budgets into headcount while the pilot client left in a month, their loyalty redirected to a competitor with smarter automation. I slunk back to my desk, shoulders heavy. The budget meeting droned on in the adjacent conference room, voices muffled. Ray sidled up. We're going to deploy behind your back. I blinked. What? He tapped his phone. We set up an internal sandbox cluster. We'll route 10% of real tickets through Automate 2.0 this weekend. No risk, we keep human fallback. We just want to prove it at scale. Ellie joined us. Once it runs, we have the data. That's bulletproof. Maya shrugged. It's nothing versus the headaches Martin's plan will cause. I looked at them. My team, my friends, co-conspirators in the name of progress. I inhaled deeply. All right, I said. Let's do it. That Saturday, the four of us convened at the office. Nights were quiet, eerily so. Our code deployed at midnight. Logs streamed back with every handshake to our API. By sunrise, Automate 2.0 had processed 20,000 support tickets across 3 mid-tier clients, slashing response times by 80% and increasing first contact resolution by 65%. We gathered around the dashboard. Rena's voice trembled. I've never seen numbers like this. Ray cracked a grin. Martin is going to freak. Ellie laughed softly. We'll show it to him Sunday morning. Maya leaned forward. We need a presentation. Jessica from operations will present the data. Claim it's part of the pilot. I nodded. We'll take it from there. That Sunday, my phone buzzed at 7:30 a.m. A calendar invite titled Automate 2.0 Executive Briefing, sent under Jessica Evans's name, Martin's deputy. I don't know who leaked the pilot up the chain, but it carried all the evidence. Monday morning, the board assembled in the glass penthouse conference room, panoramic views, silver coffee urns, seats for a dozen. Martin stood at the head, face tense. Jessica clicked her slides. Slide 1, Automate 2.0 Pilot Metrics, Jan 15, January 18th. Slide 2, Support Ticket Volume, 50% versus projected plus 20%. Slide 3, Customer Satisfaction, plus 25 points. Slide 4, Cost Savings, $1.2 million in OPEX reduction, 30 FTE equivalent. Gasps echoed. The board chair, Ms. Patel, leaned forward. This is substantial. Martin's face flushed. This was an unsanctioned experiment. We can't rely on beta software. Jessica pressed on. The system was stable, compliant with SLAs, and received positive feedback from clients. Here are their quotes. She read, "Our reps can focus on complex cases while AI handles the rest." The board members murmured assent. I stood in the back row, heart pounding. I'd never spoken at a board meeting, but today I was ready. As Jessica wrapped up, Martin opened his mouth to protest. Instead, I walked to the front, tapped the projector off, and cleared my throat. "Excuse me," I said. Voice steady, heads turned. The silence was absolute. Martin looked furious. "Ben, this is my meeting." I raised a hand. "I understand. But you called this software worthless. You ignored evidence. You doubled down on headcount. And you nearly cost the company millions in lost efficiency and against market responsiveness." I paused, letting it sink in. This software isn't worthless. It's our future. Eyes widened. Board members, Martin, Jessica. I looked at Ms. Patel. You asked for a path to improve margins. Here it is. Martin's jaw tightened. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He swung around and stormed out of the room, leaving a stunned tableau in his wake. I turned to the board chair. I propose we shift 30% of support volume to Automate 2.0 0 over Q2, reallocating savings to R&D, and I'd like to lead that initiative. She regarded me coolly. Then she nodded. We'll discuss after lunch. The rest of the day blurred. I returned to my desk, answering emails from clients wanting early access. Martin's office door stayed shut. Rumors rippled. He'd been reassigned to a special advisory role. I heard he'd been approached for a buyout, his reputation in tatters. By week's end, an email came from HR. Congratulations, Ben. Your promotion to Director of Automation is effective immediately. Compensation package attached. My hands shook as I opened the PDF, base salary up 30%, stock options, a budget for hiring 2 more engineers and a UX designer. I punched the air. Maya, Rena, Ray, and Ellie found me in the bullpen. We high-fived, laughed, hugged. It felt surreal. The same team that built a worthless prototype was now leading a company-wide strategic shift. That evening, I walked home under golden streetlights, my mind racing with all we'd achieved. I thought of the first day I arrived at Horizon Dynamics, wide-eyed and ambitious, believing a career was forever. I thought of the day 9 years later when they told me my work was worthless, and I smiled. They were wrong. Because sometimes you have to build something extraordinary, watch it blossom in secret, then guide everyone else until they can't imagine life without it. That's when you know you did more than write code. You reshaped destiny. And as I turned the key in my front door, I realized part 1 of this story had run its course. But part 2, the journey of scaling Automate 2.0, navigating internal politics, facing new competitors, and redefining what worthless truly means, was only just beginning. The board meeting that followed my impromptu takeover of Automate 2.0 was memorable for its dramatic reversal. A defensive CEO camped behind unproven technology, suddenly forced to embrace what he once called soulless code. But that was just the opening act. Part 2 would be the real test. Could we scale this tool across the company, survive new internal battles, fend off competitors, and prove that our worthless software was in fact indispensable? Monday morning. From prototype to production at 8 a.m. Monday, the new Insight Center of Excellence stood ready. I strode into our open plan lab, now fully approved for a 30% rollout of Automate 2.0, and found my team already at their stations, monitors flickering live test dashboards. The air buzzed with caffeine-fueled excitement. Rena pointed at the screen. We've already processed 10,000 tickets overnight. Ray called out, latency's stable at 180 ms, even with the production load. That's below our 200 ms SLA. Ellie at the UX pod added, user feedback from the pilot group is 4.7 out of 5 on response helpfulness. They love the tone matching. I smiled. Great work. Let's push to 50% support volume by Thursday. Any issues, we roll back at the click of a button. As we sank into the workflow, a new message popped into our team's Slack. Urgent VP Martin Harrow requests meeting at 10. I tapped the DM icon. Me got it. Maya, uh-oh. Rena, brace yourselves. Martin's office door looked narrower than usual. I knocked and entered to find him flanked by the new CFO, Dana Morales, and HR head, Priya Singh. Their faces were drawn.
Hey, Ben.
Martin began, voice tight. We have a situation. He glanced at Dana. Automate 2.0, quote, S cost savings are exceeding projections by 20%. That's good. Until you factor in the severance packages we've been paying to the human agents you replaced. Dana leaned in. Our P&L shows headcount savings of $2.4 million, but severance and retraining costs for those 30 agents have already hit $1.8 million. Plus, we're adding new cloud infrastructure expenses, about $400K. Net savings this quarter are minimal. Martin sighed. We're break even in month 1. Our board isn't thrilled. They want assurances that this AI rollout pays off in full by Q3, or we'll have to pause further deployment. It felt like a punch. We'd proven differential performance and CSAT improvements, but the financial narrative was muddy. I leaned forward. I understand. Let's refine our business case. We'll reassign agents to more complex escalations, not eliminate them, and offer them retraining in AI-supervised roles. I paused, letting it land. That way, we don't pay severance, we upskill, and we capture the full OPEX reduction by redeploying your most experienced reps. Priya's eyes widened. Interesting. Dana nodded slowly. If agents transition to AI supervisors generating higher productivity, our cost per ticket will plummet even further. Then we can reclassify that OPEX from severance to training. Martin exhaled.
Hey, Ben.
and present this updated forecast at Friday's board meeting. I'll back you.
You dismissed us with a nod.
Walking back, I turned to the team.
You directive.
Build an upskilling module. Let's call it Automate Coach. We'll track agent performance pre and post AI. Rena grinned. Love it. Ray tapped his keyboard.
Go.
I'll integrate our performance metrics API into the dashboard.
Dane.
Ellie sketched UI flows on the glass wall. AI supervisors, here we come. Midweek. The competitor emerges by Wednesday. Press clippings hit my inbox. Hambeat had published a scoop on Horizon Dynamics' AI support revolution. Immediately below, a teaser for Sentry AI's new support bot, built in partnership with OmniLogic. The article touted an identical feature set: ticket triage, response drafting, sentiment analysis, launching forthcoming Q2. I forwarded it to the team. We have competition. Maya frowned. They move fast. Their beta is already in private preview. Ray shrugged. Their code will be generic. We have advantage in our data. 2 years of training on our ticket corpus. Ellie added, and our tone matching, built by our UX research. Sentry AI can't replicate that overnight. True, our competitive moat was the proprietary dataset and custom empathy model. But public perception would shift if a flashy competitor landed high-profile wins. I drafted a communication plan, accelerate our public beta, invite case studies from the pilot clients, and publish a white paper showing our performance metrics versus industry benchmarks. Thursday morning, I called an all-hands. Sentry AI is on our heels, but we have 2 months' worth of refined training data they'll never access. We're going to open our beta to 3 marquee clients: Global Tech, One World Retail, and FineEdge. Sign NDAs, and publish anonymized performance results. We'll demonstrate real versus hype. Heads nodded. We set off to refine the onboarding flow, draft NDAs, and coordinate with client success managers. We moved fast. By Thursday afternoon, we'd locked in Global Tech's COO for a private demo next week. Friday board presentation. Securing the future Friday dawned with the usual tension. The board convened in the sky-high glass room, sunlight glinting off laptops. Martin introduced the session. Ben has an updated business model to show. I stood and clicked to the first slide. Slide 1. Automate 2. Zero impact recap. A graph of ticket volume versus time showing dramatic reductions. Slide 2. Automate coach upskilling model. Projected productivity gains from AI-supervised agents. Slide 3. Q3 and Q4 cost forecast. Reclassified OPEX. Net savings of $5 million. Slide 4. Beta expansion and competitive defense. Pilot clients, NDA status, performance data schedule. I walked through each slide with confidence born from testing, lived experience, and the raw numbers. At the end, Dana stood. These projections incorporate actual pilot data, plus conservative estimates of training conversion. We're confident in achieving our cost savings targets by October, even accounting for infrastructure expenses. Ms. Patel, board chair, steepled her fingers. Impressive. And the Sentry AI threat. I clicked to the next graphic. Our performance versus industry benchmark. It showed Automate 2.0, quote, S resolution rates, 30% above average, with half the time and half the cost of competitor claims in the white paper published yesterday. I added, our dataset and custom UX model have given us a defensible moat. We'll lock in our edge by publishing quarterly improvements, transparent, verifiable, and unmatched. Silence, then applause. Martin exhaled, visibly relieved. Ms. Patel nodded. Approve. We accelerate Automate 2.0 to 70% by Q3. We'll invite Sentry AI to a joint webinar. Show them how it's done. Laughter rippled. The tension dissipated. Scaling for growth. From prototype to platform. With board backing secured, we scaled up. Over the next month, we onboarded 20 AI supervisors. Afternoon workshops. Trained seasoned agents in overseeing AI automated replies, giving personalized sign-offs on borderline tickets. Deployed to 3 major clients, Global Tech, One World, and FineEdge, all integrated Automate 2.0, each reporting a 40% drop in support costs within 2 weeks. We turned those early wins into video testimonials, published the white paper, Reinventing Customer Support. The Automate 2.0 case study became a download sensation, generating over 5,000 leads in 2 weeks. Hosted the webinar. Sentry AI's CTO and I co-hosted AI in support science versus hype. They struggled to defend their generic stance, as I showcased live demos and data dashboards. The audience Q&A skewed heavily to our side. Back in the Insights Center, The atmosphere was electric. Sales calls poured in. Tech blogs raved. We hired 5 more engineers, 2 data scientists, and a content strategist. The once worthless software was now the company's fastest-growing division. Internal politics, navigating new foes and allies. Of course, with growth came new challenges. The head of sales, Ingrid Marshall, whose domain was revenue, felt sidelined by the tech-driven approach. She confronted me in the corridor one afternoon. "Ben, your AI is great for support," she said frostily. "But what about my sales team? I need a pipeline predictive tool next quarter." I sensed the flame of turf war. "I'm glad you asked. We have a prototype for lead scoring we can adapt from the same engine. I'll need some sales data, and we can incubate it within Insights Center." She arched an eyebrow. "You really think this lab can become the entire company's innovation hub?" "Absolutely," I replied. "Automate 2.0 is just the beginning." Later, I drafted a proposal for Sales Sync, a customer journey triage system that would rank inbound leads by readiness to buy, assign account reps, and even suggest personalized outreach email drafts. I looped in Ingrid, inviting her to co-sponsor the pilot. She accepted. A tentative alliance formed. Meanwhile, the head of IT, Greg Cole, fretted over infrastructure. "We didn't budget for the compute costs. If we keep scaling, we'll blow our cloud budget." I worked with Ray to optimize the model, shifting to spot instances, compressing the ML pipeline, tuning the container cluster for burst mode scaling. Within a week, we cut infrastructure costs by 35%, earning Greg's grudging respect. Facing the competitor rematch, as the summer conferences loomed, Sentry AI announced their Support Bot 2.0, claiming real-time voice integration and multi-channel support. They'd partnered with a major telecom, promising to handle call centers in emerging markets. At CX Tech Summit in June, they unveiled a flashy demo, voice-activated ticket resolution, with a smooth UI. But in their booth, when journalists asked for hard metrics, they had none. Their demo fell apart live. The bot misinterpreted a customer's accent, routed a call to security, and triggered an internal alert. Down the aisle, our booth buzzed with activity, the Automate 2.0 arcade game, where attendees wrote sample tickets, then raced our AI delegate versus human reps to see who responded faster. Our AI won every time, to cheers. We handed out branded headphones and mini books, the Handbook of Ethical AI in Support. That afternoon, I joined a panel moderated by the Gazette's tech editor. Next to Sentry AI's CTO, I took questions. Moderator: "John, does your system ever make errors?" Sentry AI CTO: "Rarely, though we're still in beta." Moderator: "Ben, what about Automate 2.0?" I smiled. Our published white paper includes error rate analyses. We openly report precision and recall scores quarterly. We believe transparency builds trust. During the networking lunch, we signed 3 MOUs with prospective clients, one a fintech startup, one a healthcare provider, and one a major airline. By the day's end, I counted 15 new leads. Autumn: building the ecosystem. By September, Automate 2.0 had matured into a full ecosystem. Automate Coach onboards and certifies AI supervisors. SalesSync pilot rolled out to 2 regions. API Marketplace, where third-party developers published modules, language packs, legal compliance overlays, industry-specific templates. We opened a public GitHub repo for the core Automate lib, inviting contributions. A community of 200 engineers formed, pushing pull requests for new integrations, Slack, WhatsApp, voice assistant connectors. We curated the best and folded them into our enterprise SDK. Internally, we created a cross-functional AI council, including legal, compliance, product, and sales. We met bi-weekly to review usage, flag biases, and update our responsible AI charter. This governance structure became a model for other divisions, an unexpected legacy from what started as a rogue pilot. Winter reflection: from worthless to weapon. In December, 3 million tickets later, I sat with Sarah by the fireplace in our cozy home. Snow flurried outside. We sipped spiced cider and reflected on the whirlwind year. "I never thought your little prototype would become the company's crown jewel," she said, eyes dancing in the firelight. I laughed softly. "Martin thought it was worthless. I thought it was the future." I gazed into the flames, a metaphor for how far we'd come. We took something that didn't fit the old mold and built a new platform. Sarah smiled, leaning against me. "You saved your career. No, you remade it, and saved the company." I squeezed her hand. We did it together, a team, a vision, and who knows how many lines of code. Looking ahead, the next chapter. As the new year dawned, Horizon was no longer the same. We set ambitious goals: global expansion, fully deploy Automate 2.0 in EMEA and APAC, vertical specialization, launch industry-specific modules, healthcare, finance, gaming, AI research lab, formalize an in-house lab for advanced NLP and multimodal support. We transformed a worthless hack into a linchpin of corporate strategy, and done so with integrity, metrics, and a fierce belief in ownership. Martin's doubt had become our rallying cry. Every no fueled our determination. At the annual company gala, they honored me with the Innovator of the Year award. As I accepted the crystal trophy, I scanned the crowd. Maya smiling proudly, Ray waving from the back, Ellie wiping tears, Chris from IT giving me a thumbs up. Even Martin, seated near the stage, offered a tight nod of respect. I raised my glass in a silent toast to the team, to the skeptics, and to every line of code that made the impossible possible. Tomorrow we'd write the next story, a story of growth, adaptation, and the power of believing in your vision. And it would start with the same words I've carried for a year. They said it was worthless, but they can't survive without it now.